Okay, I'll talk a little louder. Yeah, I can't help you there. I don't think they have any, so. But just to kind of start it off, like, can you tell us anything about your character this season and her progression and her storyline a little bit?
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Melissa.
Melissa.
I'm
Hi,
Melissa.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Yeah.
I have a massively loud voice because I'm an eldest child and I have 4 children myself.
And I'm an only child, so
I'm
I
used
don't
to projecting at length and from a great height. And usually the words little or something. Melissa was asking if I could tell you anything about my character this season, about her progression and what's happening. I mean, look, you know, I could tell you and then I would have to kill you. It's yeah. I mean, I guess I can truthfully tell you that when I got the job as Jocasta the year before, a producer will almost always tell you wonderful things to get you to take a job, if they want you to do the job. And they'll say, you know, oh, I see this and this for your character, and I see, you know, growth and development, and I feel that they're, you know, they have this place to go and this to explore. And often that's not true. Often they just see, like, they just want somebody to, you know, be the baddie or, you know, be the young love person or whatever. But it has turned out to be true for me. So Jocasta is, well, I'm definitely in this season. And I had a really great time. I got some really fantastic scenes. I hope you're good. I'm really excited to see them myself. I haven't, sometimes we have to do something called ADR. Have you heard about that before?
Yeah.
So it's if there's a glitch has happened during the filming, like maybe a car made a sound, or there was one famous scene that Tim Downey spoke about recently. It was like a duck quacking all through the So you'd have to go back in then to a studio afterwards and loop your voice to match the film, because all of the emotion and the interaction is there with the other characters, but just something happened with the voice. So I've seen some of the things because I've had to do a little bit of ADR, but not these huge ones, which I hope that I won't have to see them. I'm hoping that I'll just see them like with you at on the broadcast, and I'll just save it up for them. But it was really gratifying to be able to do, like, it's all an actor wants to do really, is to get a bit of acting to do, you know, proper chance to use your heart and proper chance to be with Sam. She said, yeah. I love the ball. Yeah.
So what kind of things did you do to prepare for your role as Jocasta, especially since she's blind, and what things kind of led you to
I thought about
portray
her a lot before I did it, and I did some reading about people who had lost their sight, because she wasn't born blind, so that's kind of a different thing and a different physicality for her. She did know, and she had a memory and remembrance of color and shape and people, you know, and the people that she was close to. So I did some reading about that. I did some practicing, like tying things around of different kind of opaqueness, because there's some notion that she can see a bit of light, you know, sort of reflect the background of somebody but no detail. So I did some practicing about that, and then Colin McFarlane, who played Ulysses, he met somebody, a friend of his, who had lost his sight as an older person, and not older, I mean like as a grown-up, I don't mean like, but he made a little video and explained to me how he felt, and I thought that was really beautiful. I've spoken to some people before about this, but I hope I'm not boring you, but if I am, just lie to me afterwards. The man, this lovely man, Michael, said that, do you know the way people always say that people who lose their sense of sight, their other senses are more heightened? And he said that that wasn't actually true. That what was true was that you were sort of in a situation of high alert all the time. That it's not exactly panic, but you were sort of adrenalinized. If that's even a word? I'm not sure. But because of, like, a step the wrong way could have really disastrous consequences for you. If you stepped out of a car and you think you're stepping on the flat, but it may not be, or you open something that you think is a door and actually it's a window. There's a drop or something. So he said that that's what it was, that you were in a kind of a sort of a frame of mind of sort of high alert all the time, and that made a lot of sense to me. And also I started to kind of carry my shoulders and things differently then as Jocasta. I mean, the corsets help as well, but just that idea of just kind of tension and constantly being alert and aware. So
over vigilant.
Yes, exactly. But I love her. I mean, I love playing her. I mean, it took me a while to get used to the fact that I would never be able to look at anybody in the eye, because that's what we do all the time, really, right? That's how we give our cues and take our cues from people. And I only really kind of processed that on the very first day of filming. I suddenly sat down for the first scene and just went, this is just going to be months of loneliness. But I figured out a way to do it then, and then I do use my eyes in between scenes. Yeah.
Of all the characters that you've played over your career thus far, who has been your favorite?
Wow. Well, I mean, I guess I fall in love with them all while I'm doing them. I think if you really care about pretending to be somebody, and I mean, it is pretending to be somebody else. I understand that. The only time I got into trouble was one time I was playing a queen, and I had for quite a long time, like for a couple of years, and I came home, and whatever I said, I don't know what I said, but whatever I said, or whatever way I said it, my husband said, well, you need to go back to work for that level of service. No, but I'm not in any way, I'm not at all a method actor, but it does, if you care about it and you want to tell, if you're going to pretend to be somebody else, but you want to do it in a way that people forget about you, that when they're watching it, they're not thinking about Maria, or it doesn't remind them of something else. It's like you believe the person, you believe that it's Jocasta, or Catherine of Aragon, or whoever. So I have to anyway, really kind of fall in love with people then, or not fall in love with them, but like really understand them, and then even like the bad things that they do, like I always have a really good reason why, it always comes from a place. I played one really terrible person. I don't know if any of you watched, do you know Vera Bates?
Yes.
She was such an absolute wagon, like, she was terrible, but I felt that they'd had this, because when they meet, Mr. Bates and Vera, when they meet in a thing like this, I mean, they're immediately at each other, but it's clear that there was such huge passion there at one time. We both felt, actually, Brendan and I, and that it had gone wrong somehow, so that the opposite of that is such a really volatile, a passionate mistrust instead of a passionate love. So I was able to, I felt that she'd not had a good shot at life, really, and now here he was with his lovely younger girlfriend. And why wouldn't I be a bit mean about it? I was a woman spurned, and so I guess I'm sorry, I've rambled there a little bit, but I do really fall in love with people. I care about them very deeply, so that somehow when I'm telling the story, I make a sound that I believe. and that other people, if I don't believe it, no one else will. So that's kind of it. The only, I'm trying to think if there's anything kind of mad that I can. There is a TV show, I don't really know if it was ever seen over here, but it was hugely, it's a kind of a cult comedy show in Ireland called Father Ted.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen it? Oh, you have seen it, okay. Well, I did one episode of that, and that's really dear to me just because I love the show so much, and it was one of those incredible shows, sort of like The Simpsons or something, that you can watch as a family, and it works on all levels for everybody. It's really funny, but in different ways for all ages of the family, and really irreverent and really clever. And I was in one episode of that, and I didn't have a whole lot to do or anything like that, but it's literally the only thing I've ever done that my children were delighted about. Like, they normally just want to know what's for tea, but they were delighted with me that I was doing that, and they came to where we were and filming, and it was just a big deal. So I guess that's got a special place in my heart, but for that reason.
Nice. Only other question that I had was, many of us know that you're also a singer. Can you tell us about that aspect of your life as well? And, you know, is that something that you just enjoy doing in your spare time, or is it something that you're super passionate about that, like, you want to always continue to do?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that I am a singer that does a bit of acting. That's
Nice.
kind of how I see myself. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't spend a day without singing. It's part of it's just part of the fabric of my life. And we write and perform together, my husband and I. So that's been a huge and kind of deepening aspect to our partnership as well. And we've been making music for over 30 years because I'm ancient. But as a result, we have this, it's an extraordinary experience for me. Some of the people, I saw Coco earlier on, and I know she came to a show in Seattle that we did last year in the summer, and maybe some more people have been to it, I don't know, but it's it's almost like a kind of a sacred thing for me. And I have the feeling that if you have a gig or a concert, or you go to one either, like this kind of, the feeling that everyone's just kind of plugged into the same thing for 2 hours. It's a kind of elevatory kind of thing, I think, for me.
Intimate experience.
It's intimate, but it's also just so connecting. You know, you really kind of feel like you're plugged in somehow, and there's not enough human connection, I think. It's one of the things I see I'm new to the convention land. I just came last year, and I had a really great time, but it's one of the loveliest things I see as part of it, the idea of people meeting up, or, you know, the kind of finding your tribe bit of it is really joyful and very tender. It's lovely.
Thank you. Well, we'll go ahead and open it